Good day everyone, it's Caitlin, and today we are making a very working poor woman's dress for the 1820s and 30s. Alright, well welcome. We are going to make an 1820s dress today. I need one for an event, and thought I would go ahead and make it adjustable, make it a future pregnancy dress. So I have all this yellow wool, which yellow looks horrible on me, but it's a pretty color, so I went with it. And what's nice thing about the 1800 to about really like Regency time period all the way up through the 1830s and kind of into the 40s, you can wear a nice little fichu over top or a neckerchief, and that way I can do a nice pretty color that's going to look good around my face and still have the yellow dress. So that's what we're going to do. I think I have 6 yards of this. I'm going to start by just evening up the ends like we usually do. Let's go and cut the skirt. 1820s, I don't have to have a super big skirt or a super poofy skirt. I think we're going to go with 2 skirt widths, so about 120 inches. That's going to be my skirt. Should have about half my fabric left now. So I think I only ordered 6 yards. Looks like it's going to be plenty though. Okay. Let's start with this other end. We'll do the bodice, which I took my the 19-teens short gown that we did, and I just lengthened the bodice and kind of added a I added a back bodice to it as well. So it's kind of a mashup of the Black Snail 18-teens back bodice, lengthened about 2.5 inches, and then also the front of my short gown that was drafted off an original and then sized up, and then also added 3 inches down, or 2. I think that one ended up being like 2 inches down. Ton of fabric left, so apparently 6 yards was way too much. I'm just going to cut one side in just a little bit to accommodate for the shape of an armhole. I have 3 yards left. I only used 3 yards of the 60-inch wide to make a cut this dress. Am I missing something? Bodice front, bodice back, bodice side back, sleeves, skirt. I only used half the fabric that I bought. I guess that means I get a second dress. I gotta be missing something though. Like, there's no way I'm making a dress out of 3 yards. I'm gonna start sewing it and see if we figure out what I missed, because I have to be missing something. Alright, so I'm sewing together the bodice pieces. This is the back and the side back. And of course, because this is the pre-1850, we are going to hand sew the entire thing, which I have not hand stitched a dress for me in what feels like a very long time. So this should be quite fun. You can already see I'm getting a little bit sloppy with my back stitches here. Need to go a little bit smaller. And yes, I did decide to line the thing, at least just the bodice, so I have some linen, which would have been a more common lining material than cotton by this time period, or in this time period. The one very nice thing about hand stitching Regency and 20 dresses is because the waistline is shorter, there is less sewing involved, because the seams themselves are shorter. And the open neckline also helps to cut down on a little bit of stitching time. So really it's just the shoulder seam next, and then I will stitch the sleeve. Go ahead and get the sleeves put in. That way I feel accomplished. And then we'll probably finish the neckline and work on the skirt last, which is different how I typically do, because I would typically do the skirt first. But it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things what order you do the pieces. It matters somewhat because like I can't put sleeves in until I get the bodice sewn together. But as far as assembling each and every piece, bodice, sleeves, skirt, it doesn't matter really where you start. It all kind of just works out at the end. But we are starting with the bodice this time. I think I just wanted to get the most difficult and time-consuming, tedious part out of the way first. Because they don't have to be quite as exact with the back stitches on the sleeves, and the skirt can just be a running stitch. I am going to have to cut a slit in the skirt for pocket slit, which I haven't done. I think I really need to see how the skirt's going to lay on the bodice first and almost do that last. I did a little bit more work with this one than the original shows because the original had a one-piece back as opposed to a three-piece back. So I did do that extra seam, but you do see more often a three-piece back than you see a one-piece back, so it would be more typical to do it this way, which is one of the reasons I chose to do that. And also my pattern was already, you know, the three-piece back, and it would have taken a little bit extra drafting to get it to one-piece back, which wouldn't have been too terribly difficult. It's just that you know, in addition to the fact that it was going to be a little atypical, decided to go ahead and do the three-piece back. Alright, I am very sorry if there's background noise, but it is starting to really storm out here, so but I still have to get this project done. So unfortunately we're just going to have to deal with the rain sounds, which hopefully aren't going to be too bad on y'all's end. What I have now, I just have the sleeve, and I'm hemming it with a little whip stitch, or what would have been called a hem stitch. And then we're going to work on this bodice. Actually, we got to put the sleeves in first, and then we're going to finish out the bodice. Alright, this is the same sleeve going into the arm's eye. And I do already have the neckline prepped to be stitched down for a casing. I also have the waist prepped for the same thing. So all I got to do now is just stitch away, stitch away, stitch away until I get the bodice done. And it just occurred to me that I'm not actually going to have time to order a blue neckerchief like I had wanted from Burnley and Trowbridge. It's not going to come in on time, or it likely won't come in on time. So instead I trifled through my stuff, and I did find a checked green and white neckerchief that I hand stitched one day. And so I think we'll just use that, and green looks good next to me, and it'll look good with the yellow, so I think we'll be okay. I also do have a pink one somewhere that I don't know where it is, but that would work. Fortunately, I think this is the last of the back stitch, so everything else should go a little bit faster than this, because everything else should be whip stitches and oops, lost my thread. Everything else should be whip stitches and running stitches. Unless I'm forgetting something, which I don't think I am. I guess I am only using 3 yards of fabric for this project because I think I have all the pieces. Okay, those are sleeves sewn in. So what I'm going to do first is across the back stitch the neckline in. And I want to do this separately from the fronts just because the fronts are going to need to be, they're going to have the drawstring in them. The back will not. So I just want to really stitch the back first. That way I can kind of open this up, sew the drawstring in, and only have to worry about that over there. It's going to be hard to insert a drawstring if I do all of this beforehand. And I want to start from here to go down to the neckline for the drawstring, which would also include, you know, cutting off and then doing this separately anyway, so I might as well just go ahead and do this back first. And I think I'm going to do the same thing on the waistline as well. only do the drawstring in the front because the back is fitted as per the original. And I'm not seeing any stitch lines on the back of the original, and I don't have really close up, so it's hard to tell. But for the non-casing, I'm not going to go all the way through to the wool. I'm just going to stick it. I'm not doing a very good job. I'm going to try to not show my stitches from the wool side, but only catch the lining while I'm doing this, like I would normally do for like a piped edge. But then for the drawstring casing, I am going to need to go all the way through. I think it's a 1/4 inch wide. It should work just fine. It's what we've been using for all the 19th century baby stuff. I have a ridiculous amount of that, so we can just use some of that. Alright, so I have a long piece of string. Basically all I did was measure across the entirety of what I needed to draw up, plus about 10-ish inches, which should be more than enough. Now I am going to fold in this edge about 1/2 inch. And I'm going to stitch this into and I'm just going to stitch this in. I'm going to spend a good while stitching this in because I want to make sure it is very secure, because this is going to get a good bit of tension put on it while it's being worn. And yeah, I had to add a thimble. I can't find my nice thimbles, but I found this one. But that one is a little bit crunchy to go through, and it went through my finger a couple of times instead of going through the linen. And that does not feel good. So, decided to add in the thimble. Alright, so I'm doing the exact same thing on the top. And then I gotta do it on the other side. So, both the left and the front, both the left and the right need drawstrings on the top and the bottom. And this one is a narrower casing, so I'm having to be a little bit more careful just to make sure I'm not actually sewing the drawstring, because obviously that would be bad. Alright, so getting the skirt done. I am going to have to cut several slits into the skirt, so there's going to need to be a slit down the center front, and there's going to need to be a slit on either side front for the pockets. And I was just going to, because I have 2 panels, I was going to do you know, just a seam right down the center front and then a seam right down the center back, and it was going to be fine. But then I looked at the original and I'm not seeing a center front seam, so it looks like she did just slit it, which is fine. I just can't see that well because of all the skirt folds, but I can see that she clearly did slit the skirt for the pockets. So we'll just go ahead and do 3 slits and then leave the skirt seams at the sides. So after looking at the original, I realized that the back is pleated. It looks like knife pleats. I can't really get a good look at it, but it does to me look like knife pleats. So I did knife pleats. And for the front, I'm not seeing any pleats, but I'm seeing the skirt being more gathered than the top is. So clearly there is some sort of gathering to the skirt itself. So I am dealing with that with a very light gauging. I mean, the tiniest little gauging stitches I think I've ever done, and it's just barely getting tacked in. So I'm doing my best not to catch the drawstring, because otherwise this thing won't draw up. But you can see, like, it's a very, very light gauging, even from the front. You're going to be able to see the stitches. which I guess isn't a terrible thing. Okay, I can still pull it, so we're good. Every couple stitches I do check that. But yeah, the knife pleats. And yeah, I think after I put in the skirt, I am going to have to put this on and put the pockets on to measure exactly where the pocket slits should go. Because I realized that I don't actually know where my pocket slits should go. I just know that on my 1830s dresses, I do 3, I've only done it with cotton dresses, I do 3 panels, and one panel, closes up the center back, and the other 2 panels are, evenly spaced. And I know that in where that center panel meets this 2 back panels, those are where my slits go. And so I've never actually had to measure exactly, how far away from the front, and I've never had to do any difficult measuring with that. So it looks like we're going to have to do that. But as far as a dress goes, this is basically it. Alright, here it is. So, it turned out fine. Is yellow my favorite color? No, but it's really pretty, so it works. Things about the pattern that are a little weird. I did have to take a dart here, which looks very strange. I could take out a little bit more. If I went about an inch more, it would look a little bit better, but I did have to take a dart on either side because it was really gaping up here, and that's a fitting issue. Sleeves. I already cut 2 inches off of them. And, 2.5 to 3 inches. Because I do have very short arms. I call them my little T-Rex arms. And I do have to cut off about 2 to 3 inches off every pattern. And that's just me. So I just do my normal thing. And they're still extremely long. So fold it up like that, they're a little bit better. And that's, works out just fine. But period shape, I mean, it's... For later 20s, this could be a little tighter, so you get the poofiness up here, but it's not too bad. It fits really well. Of course, it's just a drawstring, so it's not like there's really much to fit. The back likes to ride up just a tad. I would prefer it go right here. The sides fit really well, though. That's exactly where the side seam should be. And I added 3 inches all the way down, so I'm not entirely sure what happened, but it worked out fine. I have this, which will hopefully take a little bit of the yellow away from my face. Well, this isn't a really bad yellow. It's just very similar to my skin tone. So lots of ways to wear a fish shoe, but that would be one way. Provides a decent amount of sun coverage, and it gets the yellow from my face. Just like that. So then you just see that kind of going towards the back. You can also tuck it entirely in, so like I could, if I took this thing off, which I don't have a chemise on today, I'm literally just wearing a corset. We are moving in 3 days, so I have an event this weekend and then we're immediately moving, so everything's kind of packed away, and I couldn't find any of my chemises, except for my event chemise, which isn't exactly, it would definitely show under this dress. Okay, I'm not going to be able to take this. I'm going to have to take this whole thing off if I can manage that. Nope, that's not going to happen. Basically, it's the same thing I just showed you, except tucked in the back, and then, so I'd put this on and then put the dress on, basically. And let's see, other things I could do with this. I can just kind of leave it like that. I can also, it's got quite long enough to pin around, but I could try it. I just kind of pinned it right here. Work a little bit better if the shawl itself is a bit longer. So I think our best bet is probably going to be tucking it like we were doing. Yeah, that's a lovely little front opening late 20s dress that works great for maternity. Also works just for really low class stuff, which is what I'm doing this weekend. So low class works. But yeah, it's going to be a great wool dress. And I'm just impressed we got it out of 3 yards. Like, I bought 6 yards because I knew it took less fabric than, an 1830s or an 1860s dress. So I bought 6 yards, which is what they had. And I was kind of expecting to use most of it and maybe have a little bit left over. But no, we only used half of it. So I have a whole another 3 yards to do something with. Not sure what it's going to be. I'm thinking infant's cloak. But it's the first try for this pattern and making it longer for the mid-20s style. I think it turned out really well. It looks a lot like the original, so I would probably do this again, except maybe extend that back just a tad bit, just to kind of make sure that that's going to give me that even waistline all the way around, because again, it is a little bit high. Just a tad. It looks worse on this side than on this side. This side looks very even, and I don't know what happened because I got pieces at the same time instead of them at the same time, so I don't know what happened. With all that being said, thank you so much for joining me today as we made our 1820s working class drawstring dress that could double as maternity. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Click the little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next video.